let's see if that is working. All right, I'm going to try. It says it's recording. So why don't we get started? Welcome, everybody. Let's get started with Google Classroom. So for those of you who wish to, you're welcome to open up a web browser on your own device if you wish to. Some people like to do a split screen with, if you have a screen big enough that you can kind of do half showing a web browser and half showing the Zoom, you're welcome to do that. If you're like, how do I get the windows to fit? If you're on a Windows computer, there is a keyboard shortcut. If I wanted to make this screen, everybody see my screen? I've got Google Classroom loaded up there. If I wanted to make that screen show up just on half of my screen, I would just hold the Windows key and then the left arrow or the right arrow, and it would just go half the screen. And then Windows will say, hey, what do you want on the other half of your screen? And so I could load up something else on the other half. So that's the Windows key and then the left arrow or right arrow on your keyboard. But no worries if you want to go full screen and just listen to me during the Zoom, or if you just don't want to try anything right now, you just want to watch and be present, that's totally fine too. Okay, so let's get started with Google Classroom. The website for Google Classroom is classroom.google.com, and I'm going to just paste that link in the text chat for those of you who are interested. You can, when you visit Google with your division email address, if you have Google Classroom enabled, you can also click this app launcher up here, and it will, if you scroll down far enough, you'll see Google Classroom. But it's really easy to remember, classroom.google.com. You can also use Google Classroom on a mobile device, such as an iPad or a smartphone. There are apps that are associated with Google Classroom, and I think to some degree you can even participate through your mobile device web browser. Let me close my email. Good, then I won't be bothered. Anyways, the focus of this session is going to be on the web-based version of Google Classroom, but just to know that you can participate from another device. Now, in the text chat, if anybody would like to share, have you created a Google Classroom yet, or are you just basically at square zero, really starting from scratch? Just wondering kind of what to do with it. Square zero, all right, no worries. So when you visit classroom.google.com, you're not going to see these colorful icons from each Google Classroom that you're either invited to or that you've created. You may just see sort of a gray globe, I think if I'm going from memory, if you don't have any, it just shows a gray globe. To create a Google Classroom of your own, you can go to the upper right-hand corner of your screen, hit the plus, and you're going to click Create Class. Now, students, once you've created it, when you're ready to invite students, they can go up here to join a class, but students do not have the ability to create a Google Classroom. And a commonly asked question, we'll get to parents a bit later. Parents cannot actually be in your full Google Classroom. They can get email notifications about what's going on in there for their child. They can't actually be in your Google Classroom unless they sign in as the child. So anyhow, we're going to click the plus and go Create Class. And I would encourage you today to just create a Google Class. You can create as many of these as you want, and nobody else is going to see this Google Classroom except you. And I encourage you to create one that nobody else is going to be in for now, just to kind of play around with it. So I'm going to say Monday. All right, just to kind of get used to this, okay? So that is how to create it from scratch. Anybody need to see that again, how we created a brand new Google Classroom? So it will pop you into, all right, so what we did, Danielle, was we went to the website, classroom.google.com. And once we were there, it might actually give you this whole welcome message. Are you a teacher? Are you a student? And once you get past that and sign in with you need to be sign into Google with your Division account. Using the Chrome browser is ideal, but it's not a full requirement. Google Classroom does work in other browsers, but you'll want to be signed into your Division Google account for sure. So once you are at Google Classroom, by the way, if you're in your Google Classroom, if you want to get back to sort of that main landing page, just click in the little, some people call it the pancake stack, some people call it the hamburger menu. I don't know what I call it. It's all food related, isn't it? In the upper left corner, 3 lines, and then go to classes. This will bring you back to the whole listing. You may not have many right now. But so for the people brand new who need to see how to create it again, we're just going to the upper right-hand corner. Once we get into Google Classroom, we're clicking the plus and create class. You'll have 2 choices. And some staffs are creating a Google Classroom just for the staff. So if that has happened, you may already be invited by someone else, or you might choose join class. This is what your students are going to do, unless you add their emails. It's really up to you. But then there is a 6 or 7 digit code we're going to look at in a moment. That's how people, it's a really easy way for people to join. Now, is it easy for a grade 1 student to join a Google Classroom with a code? With the help of their parent, probably. But you can also just invite them via their name once we're inside. Anyhow, just know that's a way to get back and forth or switch Google Classrooms through that little hamburger menu. But we can just hop into our Google Classroom we have created right now. Just to kind of give you a lay of the land, we have this area called a stream, and it very much reminds me of any type of social media stream. Anything posted here on the stream page the newest things are at the top, and then as you post new things, other things, the older stuff goes down. Kind of like if you're on Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, the newest stuff's always at the top. This is a place, this stream is basically for announcements that you might want to make. If you want to do any sort of organized classwork, highly, highly recommend you pop over to this next area. I'll hit your question, Linnea. In a moment about that class code. There are a couple of places. You can see it on the stream, but there's also a settings gear that it has. So the classwork section is a place where you're going to organize classwork, whether it's links or websites or videos you're sending one way to your students, or whether it's an assignment where you can have stuff come back to you. It's really easy to set up, and this is the place to do it. You can organize it by a topic if your Google Classroom is only for one subject, or if you're a homeroom teacher and you want to have multiple subjects in one Google Classroom, you can set up a whole bunch of different topics based on subject area. I've even seen some people set up a Google Classroom with different topics related to days of the week. So it really is up to you. Anyhow, I will show you an example of a Google Classroom I have created. I won't show you the student work right now, but just to give you an example, I teach a university course at Concordia part-time and do just part of one course on some technology. So just to show you what these things can look like. So I've got only 2 different sort of, they call these topics. One is in class, one is participation. So you can label these whatever you want. Once we'll show you how to create these, but just to give you a visual as to what this actually looks like. And then in terms of the actual stuff that's inside it, anytime you or your students click on one of these things you put in your classwork section, it will expand open, and it will show you any directions you may have put. It will show you any links to resources you have added in there. You can view more details by clicking View Assignment. And my former colleague, Trish Rofi from Edmonton Catholic, she's amazing. And Edmonton Catholic has created a intro Google Classroom video for parents. She posted that yesterday. So somebody remind me before the end of this session to share that link to that video if it's something you want to share with your parents to kind of help them familiarize how to help their child in Google Classroom. So as I said, by clicking on any one of these titles of an assignment or another type of material that's put in here, it kind of expands it and it opens up. And if it is an assignment that you've given, you'll see how many students you've assigned it to and how many have turned it in. And it's a really, you'll notice they're hyperlinked. I can click on that and see that work in progress, even before they hand it in. It's super awesome. Anyways, we'll get to all that, but I'm just giving you sort of the overview of, okay, what is Google Classroom? There is a People tab. This is a place that will show all the teachers and students that are in your Google Classroom. And in your brand new one, you're not going to have any yet. So there are a couple of ways to invite people into your Google Classroom. And you're welcome to get everything set up how you want, and at which point you can kind of release it to the public. One way to invite students or co-teachers, if you're setting one up with a fellow teacher, is to use this plus button here. I don't recommend this, maybe for super young students or students with very little experience in Google Classroom themselves. You can start typing their last name and they will show up here, and you can invite them such that when they visit Google Classroom, yeah, so the question is, do they see it right away, or can we set it up first? Yeah, so what a student will see, I'm going to just leave this and go back to that main classes area. Remember the little hamburger menu, the pancake stack in the upper left? So what students will see once they've been invited via their email, they'll see one of these colorful Google Classroom cards, and there'll be a button here to accept invitation. Okay, it'll be a blue button, it'll say accept invitation, and they can just click on it, now they're a part of it. But there is another way to invite people into Google Classroom, which I'll show you in just a moment. As I said, if you have a co-teacher, if you'd like to include your principal or your vice principal or however what you've agreed to at in your school division, you can do that by adding them in the teachers part. And just start typing their name or their email address, and then they will also get that invitation. It will also be sent via email to them, in addition to them just seeing it when they go into Google Classroom. Finally, there is a grades section. I'm really not going to cover this much because grading and assessment and where you store those marks is really such a division by division decision. You can set up a grade book here. My advice to you is not to duplicate more work for yourself. So if you have Power Teacher Pro, or if you have another place where you keep all the marks for your division, it is kind of private sensitive information, then put it there, is my advice to you. So I'm not going to touch on the grades much at all. I'm going to head back to the Stream tab at the top just to show you a couple of interesting things about setting up your site and sharing it with students, your Google Classroom rather. And then we'll hop into some of the classwork stuff. How do I assign stuff to students? How do I give them things? Really easy. You know, you're going to love this if you haven't seen this before. Okay, so on that Stream, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. By the way, you want a cool keyboard shortcut? Control plus on your keyboard will zoom in on your screen. Control plus plus. Guess what zooms out? Right, Control minus. And then if you're like, how do I get back to normal? Control 0. All right, I'm going to just zoom a little bit. Right below the title on my Stream, I see class code, and it gives you this thing and a little square. I click that, boom, it pops up nice and large. Yeah, that's better, says Headley. You were right. I don't know about you, man, but these eyes are getting old. I'm not putting that on you guys. You're probably all super young, and anyways, it's another conversation. So this is the code, and I mean, really, this is meant for when you have a classroom, you have a bunch of students with Chromebooks in front of you, you're shining this on your display. So how does this help you? Well, you can copy it here if you want, but there is another place to get that code and copy it. And now is a great time to go into the settings of your Google Classroom, because there are some things you might want to change or turn off, okay? So look or follow me, depending on what you want to do. In the upper right-hand corner of your Google Classroom, whichever tab you are in, you'll still see a little gear Settings gear in the upper right corner. Some people call it the fidget spinner. Yeah, you're going, oh, CBE, the question from JJ. I know they're setting that up. It should be ready today. Google Classroom for, so I'm not sure if you have your student email addresses, you can copy and paste, that would be the way, but my assumption would be that they would synchronize your your names of your students and their email with Google Classroom. So if you're typing a student's last name and you're not seeing anything pop up and populate, or if you're starting to type their email address and nothing's popping up, and that may happen here very, very soon for CBE. But that would be a question for your IT department or your ed tech department. And they're awesome. You guys have a really great team down there, CBE. All right, settings gear in the upper right corner, or the fidget spinner. You don't have to put anything in this class description section. That is more for, look, I teach 4 classes of, I teach 4 classes of Math 7. You can set up different classrooms for each of those, and you can put in different sections or what room they're in. I guess that's changed a little bit now, hasn't it? But what I want to draw your attention to is going down to the General tab. Remember that class code we saw before? Here it is. I can copy it right in here if I can't just drag and copy with my mouse. But you can copy it here. There's a reset button. Once in a while, when you create a Google Classroom, it just creates this random, sometimes it's 6, sometimes it's 7 characters code that is a mixture of letters and numbers. Sometimes it looks like a strange word, a swear word, a bad word, a weird word. For whatever reason, you may not like that code, or if it's like, is that a capital I or a lowercase l? Is that a 0 or an O? For whatever reason you might want, you can go hit reset and it'll just generate a brand new one. Now, if any students are in your Google Classroom, fear not, they're not kicked out. This is just for any new people that might want to join your Google Classroom with that code. And you can just keep ripping away until you find one you like. Ah, okay, great. I'm going to keep that one. And then that's one you can share with your families. Now, if you prefer to just invite them via their email addresses, you're certainly welcome to do that. But students get used to this very quickly. You just go into Google Classroom. They hit that little plus. Remember how we created our Google Classroom? They hit the plus, then they just pop in this code. And bingo, they're in the Google Classroom. They'll show up in the people section. So the question is from Amanda 1, says, can you invite without using the EDU email? And the answer is no. In almost all cases, by default, Google Classroom is limited to your school division, school domain. And so if you are in your school division Google account and have created this Google Classroom, other teachers and students with the same Google email accounts can join and participate in your Google Classroom. Nobody else. So that means you would not be able to share Google Classroom with a teacher from another school division. You would not be able to invite parents with their email address into the actual Google Classroom. Again, I'll show you the parent email piece later. So students in grade 1, I invite all the rest of you to share your thoughts with others as well in here if you've used Google Classroom. My general suggestion, if they've never used this before, it might be simplest. It might be a little bit more work for you to invite each of your students by their email address or their name, but that might be the best way for grade 1. That, or you could send an email to parents and give them the code and say, visit classroom.google.com, sign in with your child's email, and click the plus and add that code. Here's the code for our Google Classroom. So it's really up to you. You know your families best. If you have a personal, for Carrie, a personal Gmail account, you can see a version of Google Classroom, but that will not be of use for your students. So yeah, you'll need, for participation with your own students, you're going to need to be signed in with your division email account, because by default, Google Classroom is a closed environment. Now, there are ways in which your IT department can whitelist, they call it, other domains, but usually they don't. Sometimes they do it for the universities, for practicum students, for example. So in Calgary, they might whitelist all the email addresses from the University of Calgary or Mount Royal or various other places, etc. So that is a possibility, but I couldn't say. Usually school divisions are not opening up the Google Classroom domain to outsiders. It's not very common. And if so, as I said, it's usually for student teachers only. All right, here's one other big setting piece, everyone. Please beware of this. I'm going to leave the settings for a second just to show you what I'm talking about. See this posting thing here on the stream? There's also a way in your classwork when you post an assignment that there is a comments feature. You may not want your students to be posting or replying on here. It's especially if you're new to Google Classroom, because it's going to be just a lot to manage and they might use it inappropriately. So let's go into that settings gear, and under the general settings, under stream, let's put only teachers can post or comment. Look, if you want to keep it open, just roll with it and see what happens, totally fine. It is a closed environment. It would just be your own students, but my advice to you is put only teachers can post or comment. You can change these settings at any time you want. So can a partner teacher share a Google Classroom? Does that mean you have a great partner and you want both of you managing this Google Classroom and just bring all of your students into one Google Classroom? You can certainly do that if you wish to. All right, so I would just leave everything else here. Again, I'm not going to talk about grading or setting up a grade book, but if you really did want to do that, you set up a grade book, you could go into these settings and this would be add a grade category. I'm not going to focus on that today at all. So I've changed, the main thing to change is get your class code here if you want to invite people via the class code instead of their email address. You can copy that code, paste it in an email or what other communication you want to communicate with those who would be joining it, if that's how you want to do it. And also change that stream setting to only teachers can post a comment. Save. Good. All right, the other thing, the next thing we're going to do is something a little bit more fun. You'll see this is a birthday cake image on my, probably because it saw the word fun in there. It's really interesting. If you put math or you put science or whatever, it'll kind of adjust the graphic there. But why don't we figure out how we can select a different picture on that stream page? So look in the top center, go over to stream, and let's just to the bottom right of that header graphic, we're going to choose select theme. There are lots of general ones. There's one specific to other topics. So pick one that you like. Select class theme. You can change it anytime you want. You can even upload a photo. Now, we won't go into that with this basics session, but there are ways that if you have a picture or you want to create a graphical image, something with your Bitmoji, that kind of thing, we're going to be, for those of you who are curious about Bitmojis, I'll be doing a session on Friday at 1 called kind of Geeky Extras, and created your own banner, dark or shaded. Did you do something wrong? Not really. It will auto adjust. Is that a class website you've brought it in? Google site, or is that Angela, or is that a Google Classroom you brought it in? Because I know Google Sites will auto adjust for readability's sake, and maybe Google Classroom does now too, just so that the words of the name of your Google Classroom can show up easier. Will sometimes darken the image that you upload, but you do have the ability to upload a photo into there to make it your own. Um, anyhow, we've got the settings, we've created the Google Classroom. It's time now to learn how to put some stuff in it. So let's go over to the Classwork section. Now, in terms of making it organized, what I would suggest is that you start by, you're going to use this create button a lot. Go back, Carrie, go back to this hamburger stack to your classes menu. Hover the 3 dots over the Google Classroom you want to delete and just go archive, okay? But don't worry, if you haven't shared it with anyone, no one else can get in there anyway. All right, let's learn how to set some stuff up in your Google Classroom. So I'm going to suggest you start by hitting create. Look at all the different kinds of things you can do. But you're going to create a topic. Okay, so this is for you to figure out. If you're a homeroom elementary teacher and you want to put topics for some or all of your core subjects or whatever you're going to categorize it at, it's just sort of a large heading that will be at the top of that particular work. It's really up to you. For those of you who want to do it by units, maybe you want a Google Classroom for every subject, for each of your core subjects. Or maybe you just teach in a middle school or junior high where you are teaching just math. Or maybe you're the grade 5 homeroom teacher, but you also teach the other person's grade 5 social studies. For whatever reason, you may have different ways you want to organize these topics. It really doesn't matter. So I'm just going to say language arts. And you'll see what it looks like. Now, when I create a new assignment or a material that I want to push to students, I can, if I select that topic as language arts, it will appear there. In fact, why don't we figure out how to post the first thing to, oh, wonderful, thank you. Oh, right on. Somebody shared in the link video from my pal Trish Rofi, how to make custom banners for your Google site. Yes, indeed. So you go in the Classwork section, Danielle, you hit create, you go down to the very bottom choice and choose topic. And this time I'll say math. Enter or create. Now I have got a couple here. What the cool thing about this Classwork section is you can drag and drop and rearrange as the teacher, only the teacher, you can drag and drop and rearrange things. So I'm going to say, let's say I want language arts to be at the top. I'm going to drag my math down. Easy peasy. Okay, so drag and drop as you choose. This is how you do that. So I could just keep doing that for science. Add, create topic, social studies. You work in a Catholic school division, you might want religion. It's up to you. You guys can figure that out. As I said, some people are even doing it in their division. They're suggesting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or different ways, day 1, day 2 if you're high school. I'm going to just drag these around now. Just put your mouse over it, click and drag. It's as easy as it looks. So that is how you create those topics. Now, what else can I put in here? Well, when I hit that create button, just check out some of the different options I've got here. The main things you're going to be doing that I would recommend you do are creating a material and creating an assignment. A material is when it's a one-way push of a resource. It's a PDF document you want them to read. It's a YouTube video you want to, it's a YouTube document or a YouTube video you want kids to watch. It's a website you want them to visit. That is what a material is. An assignment is where you want something back from students, even if you're not marking it for grades. It is a way that, and all the sharing between those files is automatically created. It's super awesome. No longer do you have to go to your Google Drive and find a file and hit the share button and check your email and click a link. It's just so much easier. That's why teachers love Google Classroom. So we're going to start by choosing a material. Let's say I want to send a video in my science. I teach grade 4 science, let's imagine, and I found a YouTube video on the parts of a plant. I'm going to go material, create material, parts of a plant video. You can put in the description anything you want. Now, as some people have pointed out, as the most recent commenter put, we have students who can't read. So the description may be for you, it may be for your students' parents. And if you do eventually want to set up, if you've heard about these email kind of digests that that parents can get connected to, that description might be useful for those parents, so they'll know what to do with their children or make sure their child does. For us, I'm going to leave it blank for now, just out of sake of time. So what do I want to add to this material? Well, I want to add a video. So I'm going to click the add button down here. Check it out. I can find stuff from my Google Drive. I can put a link to a website. I can put a file that I upload from my computer, even an Office document like PowerPoint or Word, PDF, a picture, a video, no problem. Attach any file you want. And YouTube, because this is a Google product and YouTube is also a Google product, they just built in that YouTube functionality. In fact, I can even do the YouTube search here. I post a Google Slides presentation and materials section. Absolutely. I'll show you how to do that. And for the person who said my kids can't read, this is a great thing about Google Classroom. Once I post something, whether it's a link from a website, video, Google Slides, whatever it is, it's going to show a kind of a small little thumbnail image of that. So let's say I search for parts of a plant. I'll take kids as well. Just kind of make it kid friendly. Now, I would watch this beforehand, obviously, but let's just say, hey, this is the one, oh yeah, this is the one I found that I want to insert for my kids. So I'm going to hit add. See how the little graphic shows up there? So I've talked to grade 1 teachers who, in the past, who were using Google Classroom to share a lot of videos. Maybe it's on reading or parts of speech or math or various, any other educational content. And the kids may not, at certain points of grade 1, be able to read all the words, but they might recognize, oh yeah, there is the, I see the brown bear on that one. So that's the brown bear, a YouTube video. So you can add as many items as you want to a single material. And for the person who asked about Google Slides, I'll show you how that looks too. I'll just go into my Google, this time I'm adding for my Google Drive, because that's where my Google Slides are. And I'll go, it'll automatically show you what you most recently have come across. Let's say I want this Google Slides presentation. I click add, and you can see it just kind of gives a little visual there of what the little thumbnail image of what that looks like. All right. Now, right now, this material is for just this Google Classroom for all my students. Do I want it associated with a topic? Well, yeah, I kind of do. This is science video, so I'm going to click that. Remember, we just made those topics. Boom, hit the topic and post. So when I do that, here's what it looks like. Come on, Google. Don't fail me now. I've got a live group of people here. Technology. Let's see, there it is. It's in here. So now it's in here, and when students or myself, when I click on it, it will show that's in here. And I encourage students to view material or view the assignment. It'll just expand it and show them a bit more. Now, if you ever get lost in Google Classroom, how do I get back to the beginning? let's go, just look for the name of your Google Classroom in the upper left corner. Click it and it'll bring you back to that stream. Look at that, it's even posted in this stream that the teacher posted this new material. So again, we're in the classwork, and let's do that again, okay? In this case, I'm gonna share a link to a website. Oh, everybody, do you remember the tolearn.ca days? Anybody remember that? tolearn.ca is gone. However, they partnered with ATA in the final years of their existence, and we have all of their websites. Want them? All right, library.teachers.ab.ca. All right, so I'm going to copy and paste that link and put it in the chat. If you want these great educational websites, you can also just go to teachers.ab.ca and you can find the library in there. Yes, Joanna, absolutely you can put materials to be posted at a later date. I'll show you that right next. So on this ATA library, the ones that came into us from toLearn are the subject guides, the topic guides, the seasonal guides. I'm going to go, there are other things here, but I'm just going to go right into the subject guides. And let's say I want to find something for grade 4 math. I'm going to scroll down until I see mathematics grades 4 to 6. And the way math is organized is by math strand. Depending on if you go to science for a particular grade, you'll see the specific units in science. This is Alberta Connected. And I will find, let's say I want to share with them this area builder. Just a wonderful little interactive web-based tool to explore and create area. You drag these little squares out and it's calculating the area and perimeter. And it even shows the dimensions. So I could put some math challenges for students. Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you create a rectangle that has 24 squares? How many different rectangles can you been looking for? Can you make with an area of 24 squares? So anyways, here is the website address for that particular area builder. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to copy it. What's our copying shortcut, everyone? Control-C. Or you can right-click and copy. I'm going to look back now for my Google Classroom. Let's just find that Google Classroom. Aha. Now, let's see if you can remember how we can get this into the math. Am I asking for anything back from students? Well, not yet. I suppose I could. I could create an assignment where I say, hey, do these 3 things and send this back to me in this format or something like that. But right now, I'm just going to send them a one-way shot. Thank you, JT Hawken, for that ATA library link. So I'm going to go create material. I'm going to call it area builder. Again, the description part is really good if there are specific things you want them to do with it, or if you want to explain anything that parents might be seeing. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose this add button again. And this time, it's not going to be from my Google Drive and it's not going to be from my YouTube. It's going to be a link. And I just have to paste it in here. Remember the keyboard shortcut? Control-V or right-click paste. I'm going to hit add link and check it out. It even gives a nice little graphic there. Now, one person asked the question before, and I'll bring it up now. You may have a particular block of time for yourself where you want to get stuff lined up for several days, but I don't want my students to see this one quite yet. I don't want them to see this till tomorrow. So let's say, well, do I have to come back tomorrow to post this? Because as soon as I hit post, they'll be able to see it if they're in my Google Classroom. No, there's another wonderful, wonderful, wonderful tool in Google Classroom here. Instead of hitting post, I'm going to hit the drop-down arrow and I'm going to choose schedule. All right, I'm going to hit schedule. And when do I want to schedule this? When do I want it to show up in my Google Classroom? Pick your day. I'm going to say Tuesday, March 31st. Do you want a particular time it'll show up? If so, you can leave it as the default 8 o'clock, or you can change that time as well. When I hit schedule now, watch what happens. It kind of shows up here in gray. Only you can see it. It says schedule for tomorrow at 8 a.m. Oh, darn it. I forgot to add it to a topic. I want it to be in math. Well, you've got a couple of options. You can hover over this in your classwork. You can hover over anything you've posted or created, even in draft form, and you can choose edit. Another thing you can do is just drag and drop. Now I'm putting it underneath math. There it is. Kids won't see it. It's grayed out. Kids will not see anything until tomorrow at 8 o'clock. So that is, and now when I select this thing that I've put, there is that little nice little visual. All right. Good news, Julia. So that is an easy way to post stuff like links to websites or videos or even files, one-way sending. Let's do an assignment. Okay. I'm going to go create an assignment. And let's say I want the students to do a little bit of writing on a Google Doc. I want them to write, I'm going to say, daily journal. I want them just to write, in fact, I'll put in the instructions, write at least 4 sentences each day telling me what you did that day. Not the greatest prompt, is it? There might be better prompts, etc. But this is what I'm going to put in here. Now, if I have something I want to attach for the students to then work on and send back to me, I can do that. But in this case, it's going to be a blank Google Doc. Now, I have one of two choices. I can either just leave it like this, then when they open the assignment, they're going to need to go into this create button and create a Google Doc. But what I'll do instead is I'll make them a little template. Let's say they're not that experienced with Google Classroom yet. I want to just give it right to them. I'm going to just hit create. Now look at the different things you can create. They're all Google things under this create. Docs, slides, sheets, drawings, and forms. I'm just going to create a document. And when I do that, watch what happens. It's going to chug a lug in the background, and it's going to make something. And I can say, I can just write daily journal. And then I could put Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm going to do another session. Can't remember which day off the top of my head. I want to say it's Wednesday. On literacy features in Google Docs, literacy supports. It's going to be a really fun one. So I encourage you to join for that one. You'll learn a bunch of cool features, how we can make Google Docs really a lot more useful for us and for students who are doing, whether it's content literacy or whether it's language arts. So let's get them writing every day. And they can students add a picture of pencil and paperwork. So there's a lot of ways they can do that. And that'll be uncovered in the Google Docs thing, or you can fire me a question at the end of this session showing you, or you can email me. I'll give you my email, I'll show you that one. But for now, I'm just gonna leave it like this, daily journal. I've set it up how I want, I close it. Remember, everything that you do in Google Classroom, every keystroke is saved. So here's that document. Now, instead of saying students can view the file, I'm going to say make a copy for each student. This is awesome. And so what that means is this little template I've created, make a copy for each student. It's going to add the name of the assignment, plus it's going to add the student's name to that Google Doc. No longer will you have Untitled 1 documents coming back to you and back to you. You'll have the student's name right on this. So I've set this assignment up. I've attached a template here that I've use the create button to do that. And I'm going to put it in my, which topic? Probably language arts. Do I want a due date? Do I want marks? It's really up to you. There is a rubric feature. I'm not going to show it to you right now. You feel free to explore that one. Do I want to assign it right now, or do I want to schedule it for a future time? Don't forget that one. That's a really nice one. I'll just assign it for now, and then you'll see it show up on their Google Classroom. Now, there's one more website that I'm going to load up here and share with you, because there are some awesome free templates in Google Slides, Google Drawings, Google Docs, things like graphic organizers, virtual math manipulatives, science things. Kids can drag things around, type things in them, ready to go. And our friends at Black Gold School Division, Darren Malte and his team, Black Gold, it's called Engaging Students. And I'm just going to go do a Google search for that. Here's the website. I'm going to give it to you here. People, this is gold. I'm going to do another session later this week called Google Slides for digital learning canvases. We're going to dig into this and how to create your own. So I'm not going to go too much into that right now, but what I'll just do is give you an example of something that we can do in Google Classroom. Go by grades if you want and subject area. I'll go into the shared Google resources. And you'll see just how creative these things can get. And they're ready-made for you, thanks to Darren and the teachers in Black Gold. Also, I know his friend and my former colleague from Edmonton Catholic, Trish Ropi, contributed quite a few of these templates there as well. So once this loads up, there's all sorts of stuff, all about me. I'm going to do this magazine cover. It's created in Google Drawings. And so let's just check this out. Wow. This is a magazine cover that I could change. I could change a different person. Let's say we want to do this for social studies or for a character in a novel or a book that we're reading. What kind of magazine cover would there be for that person? Anytime you come across something in Google format, if you want to make your own copy, this is magic, everyone. File, make a copy. Now you have your own copy. Rhonda, yes, indeed. I'm recording this, and the recording will be posted on our Facebook site. So I'm just going to say copy of, in fact, I want to take the copy of off. I just want the same title. Be seen on a magazine. That WIT stands for Women in Technology Day that they hosted, but I'm just going to call it Be Seen on a Magazine. Okay. So now this is my copy, and that is awesome. And watch how easy it is now to put it in my Google Classroom. So this copy is loading up here. And I'm just going to go back into my Google Classroom. Remember, there's that daily journal activity that I just posted. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create assignment. This will be our kind of last major demo here. And then we'll just answer some questions before you leave. So create assignment. And I want to send them this template that I just went to, this magazine cover. I'm just calling it magazine cover, and I don't have time to put any instructions, but you would put some instructions. Yes, thanks a lot, Kim. Take care. So I'm going to add this. And where is it? It's in my Google Drive. And thank you, Google. It will bring up all the recent things that I have accessed. There it is. Click it. I click add. Now, do I just want students to view it? Nope. Do I want all students to be able to edit one thing? Nope. I want to make a copy for each student. All right, lots of people are leaving for a meeting, so I will end this here really quickly. I'm going to go make a copy for each student. Again, it will add their name to that document. I'm going to ungrade it, and I'm going to put it in, let's put it in social studies this time. Do I want to assign it or do I want to schedule it? And bingo, it's done. So what happens now is students, when they open their Google Classroom, they'll see that assignment. They will choose magazine cover, they will view the assignment, and they'll see their own copy that they can work on. And you as a teacher we'll see a live update as to which students it's only been assigned to and which students have turned it in already. Yes, Angela, you can absolutely upload files from OneDrive. You would use, when you add files, you would choose the little paperclip icon, which says file, and then you can upload it from anywhere. And it works, you can upload Word docs, PowerPoint, it doesn't have to be just Google stuff, PDFs. All right, so there will be, I'm recording this session, so there will be a way to see this. Before we go, I want to show you very quickly, once again, how to add people to it. So in the stream, I can either copy this code here and give it to people. That was also in my settings gear, that little class code, just as a refresher. Or in the people tab, I can go into my students and I can click plus, and I can start ripping away on their, typing in their email addresses. Now, depending on your division, it may also work just to start typing the student's name, and it will pop the student's name in there. Just add, it'll invite them, send them an email to invite them. Now, what about parents? Well, once you have, I'm going to zip over to a different Google Classroom that has some students in it, just to show you what that looks like. You will see when you have students in here, you're going to see a little option here for invite parents. If you have parents, email, thank you. I'll share that Google Classroom video for parents in a second, right in the text chat. You'll see invite parents, and I'll finish the session by showing you Google Classroom Guardian email summaries. I'll give you a link if you want to explore that further. And I'll give you a link for what it shows in here. Not only is how to do that, but it'll show what a sample one of those emails will look like for a parent. So that is, boom, I'll pop that in there. And how about that video by my friend Trish on Google Classroom for Parents? Let me just find it. I'm gonna search for MTech ECSD. That's their group. Haha, Google Classroom Parent Overview. There she is.
Hi everyone, it's
She's
Trish here from.
And thank you, JT Hawken. I think you got that video in there. Let me just paste it again. Either way, that's the video. I know other divisions are making stuff too. So that is getting started in Google Classroom. At 11 o'clock, I'm going to do a session on going further with Google Classroom. It's like, what other cool things can I do? I'll go more into those templates. I'll go more into a whole bunch of other specific activities and things, 10 different things that you can do in Google Classroom, and that'll be at 11 o'clock. So with that, I'd like to thank you for participating. For those who would like to stick around for a bit longer and ask questions, I'm going to stop the recording button now and stop sharing my screen, and I will answer any questions for those of you who do want to stick around. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. All the best to you, and I hope to see you again.